Hello everyone, welcome to the press conference for Cow, which is showing in Cannes premiere at Cannes this year. It's a pleasure to introduce a number of the people involved in the film to you. I'm going to start right next to me. I'll start with the film's three editors. Next to me is Rebecca Lloyd, who first worked with Andrea on American Honey. Next to her, a very old-time collaborator. He started editing Andrea's films all the way back with Dog and Wasp and worked up through Wuthering Heights, Nicolas Chaudurge. At the far end of the table, the third of the Musketeers, the Musketeer Monteur, we have Jakob Schulzinger, who was the editor also on Andrea's television series Big Little Lies. He's worked repeatedly with Ruben Östlund and Lars von Trier, who of course are Cannes regulars. Next to Jakob, we have the film's long gestating producer, Kat Mansour. And next to her, in the black leather coat, the film's director of photography, Magda Kowalczyk. She has a long list of credits shooting for television, documentaries, feature films, and shorts. And finally, it's a huge pleasure to welcome back the director of the second season of Big Little Lies and episodes of many other prize-winning television series. Her early films, Wasp, Dog, and Fish Tank, were perhaps misleadingly titled because they were actually about humans. She's won the jury prize no fewer than 3 times for Fish Tank, Red Road, and American Honey. It's a huge pleasure and honor to welcome back Andrea ARNOLD, director.
I just want to say it's actually Cow Appreciation Day today, officially. Just saying.
When did this idea first occur to you? Tell us about the gestation.
How long have you got?
I think we'll be hanging from your lips from now until the cocktail time.
Well, there's a short answer and a long answer.
You're the director.
Oh, God. So I think, I had to write something because it's a hard film to explain, and so I was asked to write something as a kind of introduction to it. And that was an interesting exercise for me because it made me think about how did I get to this place? Like, how did I get to think about this? And it kind of took me back to my relationship with nature as a kid. And I think that's kind of where it started because I had this very kind of free relationship with nature because I had very young parents who weren't really there. So I just roamed, and I grew up on an estate with lots of wilderness around and other estates and industrial areas. And I just used to roam all day. And I, during that time, built up a very, I just had a real connection with nature, and it became like sort of part of my life. So it's always been there, this sort of relationship and connection. And then as I kind of got older and, as we all do, live very busy lives and moved to cities, I started to realize I was quite separated from that sort of free expression I had as a kid. And I used to look out the windows at, the countryside as I was going places and think, oh, it's over there, the countryside, and I started to wonder what would it be like to be kind of in that, because I think we all grow up with quite romanticized versions of nature. We have storybooks and, paintings, you get the fantastic paintings of lovely nature. And I think we all have this sort of romanticized version of it. So I started to wonder what would it be like? What is it really? What is the reality? And I think our sort of disconnection from the reality is something that we're all facing right now because I think we're sort of frightened of the reality, really, so we keep it over there. So it was an endeavor to just take, to sort of engage with something that we are used to seeing over there and kind of jumping in the painting. And I just wondered what the reality would be like and sort of to get in there and see what actually it was really like.
And when was that you started thinking about that?
I think it was about 7 years ago we started.
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's been a sort of slow burning, quiet, gentle thing going on for a long time.
And how long were you shooting? And how long were you editing?
4 years shooting.
Yeah, 3.5 år.
Yeah. Yeah, about 3.5, 4 years.
And then the editing?
There was a lot stopping and starting because of I was busy and Rebecca started it. We were trying to edit it at the same time as I was editing Big Little Lies, which was not happening. I had 5 editors on Big Little Lies, so and then I always thought Cow was going to be this lovely little like place I would go to after the at the end of the day to check in, but I just never had any time to check in. And every time I arrived, you just basically got me coffee and went there, and sent me off again because I was just so exhausted. So, yeah, it's been stop-starting really, but each of my 3 musketeers had a big input at the time that they were involved.
And was the involvement consecutive? I mean, I'd like to ask the editors, how were you working on this? Were you working consecutively? Were you working all at the same time, or both of the above?
It's kind of like a baton relay race. So I started off while they were filming. I started off when they were filming, so it's 4 years. But it was on and off in that time, so we were all doing other projects. And then when there was an event with Luma and Malu, the Russia would come in and I'd assemble. And then handed it over to Nicholas after the 4 years. And how long did you work on it?
Oh, I worked on it for about 3 months, and but there was all your great work, and all, but the thing is, the Cow is a massive thing. It's like 200 hours of footage. That's what you deal with, basically. When you get into it, even if there was someone before, you need to watch the footage. I didn't watch it like time 1. I watched it a lot time 8, like speed-wise. But it's a big work. I think it needs 3 editors, and he's worked on it so long. It's just really... It's hard to make a film about a cow, actually, as a feature film that works for an audience. It's very... yeah. It's true. It's true. You have to deal with a film about a cow.
Assembly, I handed over like 7 hours, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a monument. It's a monument about a cow, but it's still a monument.
Jakob?
I'm not sure how long I worked on it. Not as long, I think. But I enjoyed it.
We worked a bit in London and then in Denmark, didn't we?
Yeah. Copenhagen.
Yeah, Copenhagen, yeah.
But how was the collaboration between the editors? Did you have different concerns about the film, for example, looking at the material and working with it?
I mean, we were never in the room at the same time.
No, we never worked.
So we worked on top of each other's work.
No. Andrea's is the material, and Andrea the continuity, really. And the edits, how we use each other, how we change the film. But when editors, we didn't work together. Editors rarely work together.
Andrea, did the film change while you were making it, from what you'd imagined at the beginning to while you were making it, or perhaps while you were editing it?
I mean, on some level, I think that always happens because you have an image and, you have an idea in your mind. I always liked the story of Giacometti, who was apparently, whenever he was modelling his sculptures, he always had a really painful expression on his face because he could never reach the thing he had in his mind, even though I personally love his work. And I think that's true for anyone. When you start with something, you have the idea in your mind, and it's very pure in your mind. And then you face reality, and then you're dealing with all the obstacles and the things that are the reality. And so it does change. It always changes. And I try to go with that because I think that's important. You need to be informed by what you learn and how you discover things, and then you have to start like working with that. I mean, I do that in my feature films as well, like my drama. Things are always different, and I actually try to introduce a bit of chaos as well, because I don't like to go out to a scene and feel like I know everything that it's going to be. I want to, what's the life here now? Like, who is, the weather's different and it's raining. Oh, let's do something with the rain. Like I like to see what it is when we are there at that time, and where we're at, and I like to sort of then work with that, rather than I go and it's going to be exactly this. So I actually embrace the changes and the obstacles and the life that the process brings.
Magda, your face lit up when Andrea used the word chaos.
No, because that was one of our conversations during the process of filming. I remember you told me once that chaos is important to be introduced to the film, and I was trying to film, to capture what Andrea was saying, and I remember like this chaos was important element as well.
Even the way you frame is sometimes disconcerting. It's sometimes hard to locate what we're seeing.
Yes. I mean, I was trying to capture what the amazing idea Andrea had, and then during the film we had some conversations. Every conversation for me was like an aha moment. So it opened like new ways for me to see what's going on, and I was just trying to capture what you were saying.
Thank you. I think we'll open it up. I know there are questions. Yes, please.
Hi, Andrea.
Please stand up.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. And just mention also your affiliation.
Of course. Hi, Andrea. Minori from Variety. I just wanted to say I absolutely loved Cow. But I wanted to ask you about Big Little Lies, which I know you've alluded to already in this press conference. But we obviously heard a lot about sort of some of the creative tensions that happened in the post-production of that, with HBO getting involved. And it sounds, obviously, as you just said, 5 editors, that's quite a lot. Can you sort of set the record straight in terms of, I know you've never really spoken about it. But
I'm not going to talk about that here, sorry.
We're here for Cow.
Yeah.
There's nothing you want to say in terms of, was it accurate, the reports that came out?
I learned
Do you have a
great
question
deal,
you'd like to
that's all
ask
I'm gonna
about Cow?
say.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi there, Ben Dalton from Screen International. It's 2 years since there's been a Cannes Film Festival. Why was it important for you to bring the film here and present it in person at an event which have not been many of that kind over the last couple of years? First for Andrea, but then also to hear from your collaborators.
I mean, I've been to Cannes a few times now, and I love it here, and it's a fantastic place to have your film screen for the first time. I mean, I did wonder, because Cannes are very, in some ways quiet, in some ways not, I think, but a sort of gentle, quiet film, and I thought this is a great big noisy place to show your quiet film, but it's a place where, sort of art film is at the center of everything, and I really appreciate and I'm grateful for that. It is quite strange going from lockdown to this, and I've seen some people that I haven't seen for a long time, and that's been sort of quite emotional, really, actually seeing people together. And film's important, and I'm so happy to be sitting in the cinema and seeing film again. And yeah, I mean, it feels like a big experience. I mean, it's always a big experience anyway, but after what we've all just been through, and are still going through, it's even more poignant, I think.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
Why it was important? I mean, it was a fantastic opportunity to get Luma on the big screen, the biggest possible screen we could. That was a really, exciting prospect. It was also absolutely terrifying for me. It's my first Cannes. So I've learned a lot. I'm very tired, but not as tired as a lady.
I think also we wanted to hear your reaction, the audience reaction, because the film is very unique, personal, and it's an appreciation for the cow, and we wanted to introduce that to you and hear your feedback back.
Andrea, I don't. This is a straight question. How did you cast the film?
We did the casting.
Well, it's interesting because when you look at a group of cows, of course, I mean, we're all used to seeing herds of cows. And you see them as herds, you don't see individuals. And I knew I wanted to see an individual. So there were a couple of things, really. One, I was looking for a cow that had some character. I mean, they all do have character, but Luma, who's our main cow, is we were told she was quite feisty, and also she has the most beautiful head. She has a white head with these little black bits, and I thought you would always pick her out in a crowd. I mean, we were always going to focus on her anyway, so I think you always would have, whatever cow we picked, we would have always seen. But it seemed like a good idea to have a cow that was a bit distinct looking. So, and she is a particularly beautiful cow, I think, her head. So, yeah.
I was
Her
wondering,
looks.
please, sorry.
Her looks. Her looks and her personality.
I wanted to ask about the personality. But I did want to ask about her personality and whether you were looking at different cows, and this cow actually moves interestingly, responds interestingly.
I really love it when she looks at the camera. I was talking about this morning because we were, I worked really hard to basically see her, to see her, to look at her, because I don't think we really look at each other or other things very much. We don't see, not really. I mean, we do, but we don't. I think to really look takes quite a thing. So we were really looking at her, and I sometimes. What I really loved was that I think she felt seen. I think she felt that she was seen. And I don't know that happens, really. So when she looked at us, I really felt that she was really looking, and she felt us looking. And so anytime she looked at the camera, I always, from the beginning, didn't want to pretend we were not there. So if she butted us or hit us or responded to us or didn't like us, that when she gets her calf taken at the beginning and she moves at the camera, she just she's annoyed with everyone, us, everyone. I'm not saying I know she was annoyed because I don't know what she was thinking, but that's how it seems. And I always wanted to include that. And when she looks at us, I feel it's very powerful that she feels seen.
And what about casting your humans?
They were part of the farm.
But
They were great.
But you chose that farm in particular, and why was it about that farm?
Do you want to talk about that cat rather than me talk all the time?
I mean, you were really clear, weren't you, about not going for a sort of, not going for a farm with its bad practices, finding a middle-of-the-road farm in an area that you liked, which had either a train going through it or some connection to us. And we spent a lot of time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Travelling around the M25, which is a circular road around London, looking for farms, meeting farmers, meeting their wives, having cups of tea. We did a lot of
Going to the Christmas parties.
Going to their Christmas parties, which were interesting. Building trust, loads of building trust. And this is a family farm. They're lovely people. They work really hard. And it felt, it'll be interesting to see what they think of it. But we were really clear that we wanted to find a good place for our cow to be living in.
Thank you. There was another question.
Hello, my name is Chaz Ebert from the Chicago Sun-Times and RogerEbert.com. And I had a lot of questions for you. First of all, I was wondering what you wanted us to think when we left the film. One thing that I liked about the film is it was not judgmental. And from Maggie saying that you chose a farm that was kind of middle of the road practices. If you were going for a People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals film, that would have been a different film. And you also didn't go for the Disney-fication of it to make them just humans. And yet, from a feminist point of view, when people wanted to use a negative word for women, they would call you "old cow." And women are, so you can see the process of giving birth, but then the babies are taken away from the mother. They don't have a chance to have a relationship, which is what we would be hoping. I was hoping at some point that Luma would break free of her pen and go look for her little babies. You didn't do that. You let the natural process happen. And so I wanted to know, did you really use, because I kept looking for the markings. I wanted to know, did you really use Luma throughout the whole film, even to the very end? And I asked you yesterday, did Luma really, can I say it, get shot, get killed? Because an American film, you would have to say at the end, no animals were hurt or injured during the making of this film. So obviously that didn't happen. I want to know, what do you want us
But
to
in
think
a
of
drama,
theater?
right, in a documentary where something actually happens, do you have to say that? In a drama film, I can understand that because, of course, you wouldn't want to hurt anything in the process of making something fictional.
Right.
But if something's actually happening and it's real,
It's real.
You know, we see people killed for real,
Right.
you know, on the news all the time.
But what do you want us to? to
You know,
think?
what I want is for you to have your response to it. I deliberately made it in a way that would give room for people to have all kinds of responses. And I'm getting a lot of different responses. And I walk down the Croisette, I'm getting all kinds of responses. And it's fascinating to hear people's reaction to it and their own different experiences. And I left room for that. And I think that's really important. So I don't want to say to you what I want you to come out with. I think you come out with the things that matter to you from what you get from the film. I'm offering it to you, and you take away whatever you want to take away.
And what was the time period between after the birth of the second calf and the time that Luma was taken out to pasture, to be put away? That in the film it was very short, but it must be in real life a much longer period, because by then she was limping, she was, you know, had the big bags. I was wondering, had she gotten sick or what happened? Was she going, in my own feminist mind, I was thinking she was going a little batty, and so just being a woman, and they wanted to get rid of her. I thought of all kinds of things. So, but the time period between that.
From when she got, gosh, it's about...
That is probably 4 months, 3 months.
Yeah, that's mastitis. That her big udder is mastitis, and then when she had it, that's why she was put to sleep, because she wasn't comfortable and not happy in that situation. So, 3 to 4 months, was it? Yeah. And it was Luma all the way through.
It was Luma.
And like you, I was hoping at some point in the field she might meet the car. But that didn't happen. Yeah. But there was part of me that thought maybe there'd be a place where, but we just filmed what happened. Really, we can't orchestrate anything, and I didn't want to orchestrate anything. I wanted to just show you, and show, and I had all ideas about what might happen, but what happened, and that we just had to go with it,
And I'm going to ask just one more question. I know, even when I asked the question, I didn't really mean, what did you want us to think? What did you think? What was the point of you presenting the life of the cow?
For us to engage people with a non-human consciousness, to show consciousness in a living, non-human animal.
The sentience of all living things.
To invite engagement with that.
Okay, thank you.
Perhaps following up on the feminist question, was it chance that a number of the singers on songs being played in the barn were women?
They're not. The Pogues are there. They're men.
They are, yes.
Yeah. Not entirely women. No. No, I chose women singers.
But the Pogues were really playing in that scene.
Yeah, they really
It
were
was
there.
actually playing on the
That actually
radio
was
at
the
that
song.
time. The
Yeah.
other song some of plays,
Yeah.
but that one
But they
was
play the radio there
Yeah.
with all the pop songs, which are all about longing and desire, and which I thought was appropriate.
In a film like that is a big window. The songs really,
Yeah.
you know, in the edit and stuff, to be able to have the songs is
No, it was really there. Radio was really there. And, you know, they work long days there, so the radio is really is company. And
They start 3:30 a.m. In the summertime.
you just do one day, whole day, and you feel exhausted, and they do that every single day.
You touched on the trains going by. There are a number, it's a recurring motive, the trains, the planes. Maybe Andrea or the editors, what do they bring to us, those images?
Anybody want to answer?
You used to always say you love the thought of.
Please.
You always said you love the thought of humans going past. So like always looking down at the cow or the train going past. So just bringing in the human elements.
It was to connect us to, you know, because that's the way we see them from the train or the plane. We originally tried to find a farm that had more of that, like a road, but we didn't find one because I felt that it was sort of about our relationship with them, really. It was about including our relationship as a kind of just there. I mean, I don't think you can see a cow from a plane, can you? I'm not sure you can, but
No.
but it's a reminder of our relationship with them.
But at the same time, when you see it, it's a question. Everything with the cow is a question. Like, what does she see? What does she think? The plane for a cow must be really like,
It's so surreal.
like, yeah, what is that? You know, the unknown. It's a big thing of the unknown for a cow, I think.
We have time for one last question. I'd like to thank our guests very much. Andrea, everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.